Yo, what's up, sports bettors? Alex here. Tons of NBA, NHL tonight, and you can see lines are moving. Line movements are highlighted in green and red on the Odds Jam screen. So this is called the Odds Jam screen right here. I'm looking at the player assist market, but you can look at any market. But basically, the way I use this screen is you look for where books have the line set at different levels. So this isn't a play I went with, but this is the first play I'm zoning in on. Is you can see PrizePicks has Tatum's line at 4.5 assists. Underdog is at 5. All the sports books are at 4.5 as well, with slight juice towards the over. So it looks like lines are really moving in the Celtics game. A lot of player props are starting to move around, so hopefully there's some value pretty soon. But long story short, Underdog's at 5. All the sports books are at 4.5. PrizePicks, their direct competitor, is at 4.5. PrizePicks and Underdog work in very similar ways. So every data point is telling us Underdog is too high, right? Underdog is too high relative to every other data point. Underdog 5, all the sports books 4.5. So we literally have dozens of sports books, right? All setting the line at 4.5, all telling us the same thing. These sports books are billion-dollar companies. They have really sophisticated models. They're taking bets, moving around lines due to supply and demand. Every data point is telling us Tatum's line should be at 4.5, Underdog's at 5. We want to take the under, right? Underdog's at 5, sportsbooks at 4.5. We want to take the under. So that's kind of how you use the Odds Jam screen. And let's just go ahead. We can actually get into the first pick I have. So if we go over to Underdog, you'll see right here, I have $350, Jaden Ivey over 1.5 threes, Joel Eriksson under 3 shots, Alex Ovechkin over 4 shots. Now, a lot of people may be like, okay, where did this Joel Eriksson play come from? Some people don't care, but some people really care about the thought process, everything like that. So if we go here, what you're going to notice is for Joel Eriksson Underdog had his line at 3, which you can see right here. I kind of wrote a little bit about this on Twitter. All the sportsbooks, PrizePicks have his line at 2.5. Really not much juice towards the over. Underdog at 3. All other data points at 2.5. We want to take the under on Underdog. And if we keep going, Alex Ovechkin, his line is 4 on Underdog. It's 4.5 on every other data point. So we want to take Ovechkin's over, right? Underdog's 4. All the other data points are at 4.5. So that's how I got all of these picks, all 3 of these picks. And again, everything I talk about. So I've kind of gone through my results on Underdog Fantasy. I track my profit and loss on this verified bet tracker. It's called Pickett Sports. You just sync your accounts and it holds you accountable and tells you your profit and loss. But you can see Underdog Fantasy has been one of my most profitable sports books. So in 2022, 49.7K in profit. Granted, definitely ran hot, but didn't even start using it until later in the year. And then 2023 off to a good start. And the reason is they offer a lot of spots like this, right? Where they're setting a line well below where it should be. They have Ovechkin's line at 4. All the books have it at 4.5, right? We want to take the over. And again, it may not seem like a big deal, right? It may not seem like 4 versus 4.5 is a big deal. But if you look at Ovechkin's game log, 2 of his last 5 games, he's had exactly 4 shots, right? So if we would have taken Ovi's over, let's say on PrizePicks, we would have lost 2 out of the last 5 games. If we would have taken his over 4.5 and he had exactly 4 shots, we would have lost on PrizePicks. On Underdog Fantasy, we would have pushed, right? We would have had a tie and have been refunded. So this is called finding value, finding an edge, right? Do I claim every bet wins on Underdog Fantasy? No. In 2022, I had 71 wins, 321 losses, and 2 refunds. 71 wins, 321 losses. These are long payouts, right? I'm only staking $350 to win 2.1K, so you're not going to be winning most of the time. But the point is when you find value, when you find an edge, and you have an edge in all your picks, you win long term due to the law of large numbers. But anyways, that's what I have on Underdog Fantasy. Let's head over to FanDuel because FanDuel had a kind of interesting one. So this is what I have on FanDuel. 4-leg parlay, first period total goals, over 1.5 for Wild, Maple Leafs game, Kraken game, Flames game. I'll zoom in a bit, and you can see they gave me $420. here's the 4 picks I have. And if you go to NHL, a lot of people will be like, oh, why did you bet $420? And if we go here and we go to like goal score or something, you'll notice they don't offer, unlimited bet sizes. Especially to me, a profitable customer off them, these sportsbooks can kind of cut down your betting limits. And you can see right here, FanDuel saying, yo, your max wager is 113.60. So again, the reason I went with 420 is because that's the max they gave me. It's kind of like on Underdog, the max they give me if I include a hockey pick. So if you just do NBA picks, you'll see it says right here. Well, if you can see max 2,000, but if you include an NHL pick, it goes to max 350. Max 2,000, max 350. So long story short, a lot of these books have betting limits. And it's kind of the reason, because a lot of people ask, they're like, wow, if your ROI on Underdog is so high, why don't you just bet a lot more on this platform? Why don't you deposit a lot more money? And the reason is, first of all, it's time intensive to find the picks. And second of all, and it's fun, whatever, but it's also time intensive. And the second reason is they set these max betting limits. Right? So you can only bet it once. I can only bet it once. And, so that's kind of your biggest constraint is there's only so many hours in a day. But anyways, let's go to this FanDuel parlay, how I got to it. So if we head over here, you're going to see the first pick I'm on is Wild Devils over 1.5 first period total goals at minus 112 odds. So you can see that's in my parlay right here. Maple Leafs, Kraken, Flames game. So those are the games. And if you take a look, you're going to see 3 of the top 5 picks on OddsJam are from this game, right? So again, you want multiple sports books because these books have different lines from one another. If you're just using Underdog Fantasy, you don't have access to this line, right? You're not going to be able to get down this really profitable bet, right? If you only have access to FanDuel, you're going to miss the plays on Underdog. So you want as many books as possible because these books set lines independently and you never know which book is going to be screwing up on a given day. So, okay, we have Wild Devils, first period total goals, over 1.5 at minus 112. If you take a look, what's interesting is you're going to notice, okay, all the sports books, except for FanDuel, have the over heavily favored, right? Caesars has the over at minus 130. They have the under at plus 110, right? So lines are juiced towards the over. FanDuel has no juice in either direction, whereas every other sports book, there's literally dozens of data points telling us, yo, the over should be heavily favored around minus 130, right? So again, sports books, they want to be unique. They set lines independently, right? And FanDuel is screwing up. So what OddsJam is doing is basically it's going to the NHL, it's going to NBA for every sports book, right? It's pulling in all of these lines, NHL props. I mean, there's probably 50,000 odds on FanDuel. If you look at all this random crap you can bet on, that's just one, if you just look at like one NBA game, I mean, it's literally insane. The amount of different options and things for you to bet on, right? So OddsJam is pulling in all of this data, and then it's just pointing out of the millions of odds across the market, where are the rare few betting opportunities that are actually profitable, right? Out of the millions of sportsbook odds, what are those 0.1, 0.01% of plays where the sportsbook's screwing up? And you can see right here, that's the case. We have tons of books telling us, yo, the over should be favored around minus 130. We can get this at minus 112. So the way I kind of like to think about it, coming from a trading background, is, imagine you had a stock, right? And this stock, or let's say Bitcoin, right? Take the price of Bitcoin, right? It's like, imagine you go to E-Trade and it's like, yo, Bitcoin's worth $130. You go to DraftKings, it's worth 135, win 120. And you can do this on all these different platforms. Let's say there's tons of different prices for Bitcoin. And then on FanDuel, you can buy it for $112. And it's like, well, I just had dozens of data points telling me this should be, around $130, and you're letting me buy it for 112. That seems like a good trade, right? That seems like a good deal, good value. Right? So I'm not trusting my gut. This is all data-driven, mathematical sports betting, looking for value in the market, because that's how you make money, right? A lot of people, I don't know that much about sports, right? 205.6K profit last year, not knowing about sports. Don't watch hockey, especially. So I'm just following the data. I don't have to know anything about the Wild, the Devils, their last few games, whatever. It's all baked into the market. Every frickin' sports book is telling me the over should be heavily favored. right? Around minus 130 odds, and I'm getting minus 112. So it's a no-brainer play, and it's the same for these two picks, right? So I ended up going with this. So the EV tool is the easiest tool on OddsJam to use. All it does is, again, there's no BS. It's literally just pulling in odds and then comparing them to each other and showing you where there's value in the market, right? And here are the values: over 1.5 first period total goals at minus 112. All the books are pricing this around minus 130. We're getting it at minus 112, clear value. And some people may be like, okay, but what if the under should actually be favored? What if the markets are inefficient? Think about every sharp bettor. If the under should be favored and you can get plus money, right, on Caesars, this would have been hammered to minus 130. If the under should be favored and bettors and sharps believed the under should be favored, the under would already be favored, right? Like, let's say everyone knew that this game, the under 1.5 first period total goal, should be the favored outcome. Everyone would bet the under at plus 110, plus 110, plus 110, plus 112, plus 111, right? Like, everyone would hit the under until sportsbooks moved, right? Sportsbooks move around lines due to supply and demand until sportsbooks had the under as favored, right? So this is a market based on supply and demand. It's like when people tell you, oh, Bitcoin, is the easiest no-brainer buy ever. It's like, put your money where your mouth is and bet on it, because if Bitcoin were actually supposed to be $50,000 right now, it would be trading at $50,000 in the market. The market is based on supply and demand. So we have tons of sports books accepting wagers from all over the world, right? These are global sports books, offshore sports books, bookmaker Bovada. They're setting lines the way they are for a reason. Bovada, all these books have the over favored because the market believes the over is a lot more likely to occur. But on FanDuel, we can still get minus 112, clear value. So next we can head over to PrizePicks. So this is some of the last plays I have. So they have this promo today, Shohei Ohtani, over half of a total base. Bo Horvat, Miro, over 2.5 shots on goals. Brent Burns, over 2.5 shots on goals. SGA, over 35.5 points plus assists. So I have a 5-pick play here. Again, it's a max payout of $25, or max bet of $25. And then I have this play, Miro, Burns. I put in Garreau, so this play was from the screen. And then I have these two plays, and then here's my final one. And again, most of these plays, like, there's not that much special sauce going on here. I'm looking for value, right? So if you want to make money off PrizePicks, I've had a pretty good year so far and last year in terms of ROI on PrizePicks. If you want to make money on PrizePicks, it's pretty simple, right? First of all, you got to figure out what's optimal to play on PrizePicks. Most people don't even know the answer to this question. They go on PrizePicks and they're just like, oh, whatever, like, here's what I'm going to bet, and they just place their bet. But they don't even understand what these payouts mean, right? Should I be placing 3 picks, a 3-pick power play, or flex play? Which is optimal? Because they're actually very different, right? If you played all your picks in flex plays versus power plays, your profit would be different, right? Similarly, if you play 2 picks versus 5-pick entries, your payout will be very different. And you're going to notice, I ride with you guys on all my plays. I'm just showing you literally what I bet. But for any 5-pick entry, right? So here we went 3 for 5. The payouts are the same. 5 for 5, this is your payout. 4 for 5, that's your payout. 3 for 5, this is your payout, right? It's always the same. So on PrizePicks, we've gone through, kind of reverse engineered what's mathematically optimal, and it's 5 and 6-pick flexes because you're getting minus 119 odds, right? So when we're looking at PrizePicks, when we're comparing the lines, on DraftKings to those on PrizePicks, we know PrizePicks is giving us any play. Again, they don't vary your payouts depending on if you select overs or unders. Like, you'll notice that here, right? Overs, unders, they're not varying your payouts if I switch this from an over to an under. So the price for every pick is always the same. It just depends how many legs you're including in your entry, and you need to be including 5 picks in your entry or 6 picks if you want to make money, right? Because then you're getting a lot better odds. You're getting minus 119 implied odds. So here you can see every sportsbook has Herbert Jones under 4.5 rebounds, heavily favored around minus 140, minus 145-ish. We're getting minus 119 in a flex play. That's a no-brainer. SGA, under 5.5 rebounds, included that. Bo Horvat, Miro, Brent Burns, 3 picks from the EV tool for hockey, 2 for the NBA, and you're going to notice that's my frickin' entry. It's literally that complicated, right? Or it's literally that simple. People just love overcomplicating sports betting. Sports betting is all about realizing, which I'm very aware of, you're not going to win every day. You're not going to win every bet. I mean, you can see losing streaks here on PrizePicks. It's very whippy, right? Because I'm only playing these 5-pick flex plays. So you'll notice 5 picks, 5 picks, 5 picks, right? It's all going to be 5-pick or 6-pick entries because those are mathematically optimal. If you're hitting your picks, if you're winning your picks at a clip of, I give this example a lot, but if you're winning your plays 57% of the time, so in other words, and that's really good, right? If you can select overs and unders correctly, like Brady today, over or under, if you can hit these 57% of the time, right, your ROI for a 5 flex is 19.25%. 19.25%, right? Now, if you go to a 2-pick power play, if you're hitting 57%, your ROI is negative 2.5%. So if you're playing 2-pick power plays, you don't even stand a chance. You hit 57% of your picks, and your ROI goes from like 20% in a 5 flex to negative 2.5% in a 2-pick power play. So it really matters, right? But here you can see for Herbert Jones, all the books have his under heavily favored around, minus 140, minus 145. We're getting minus 119 in a flex. All the books are telling us, the under should be a lot more favored. We've gone through the payouts of PrizePicks. We know 5 flex are optimal. We know 5 flex means minus 119 odds. So we've studied the sports book, right? You got to put in the work, study the sports book. So then it's just, okay, take advantage of this play. Every data point telling us this should be minus 145. We're getting minus 119, right? No offense, your model is not better than FanDuel's model, Sugar House, Bet Online, etc. So when they're all telling you the same thing, this under should be heavily favored around minus 145, you can get minus 119. No offense, you're not smarter than the market, which means every other sports bettor, as well as the sports books in their models. So this is how you make money sports betting. I mean, people are always like, you follow data in sports betting? It's like, are you an idiot? Like, data runs every industry. If you're not betting with data, you should stop betting because you're not going to make money. So 3 more plays on PrizePicks. Let's go. Let's make